Aligning ourselves with the divine will gets us out of being stuck because we are seeking what is absolutely the best for everyone involved, not just our own selfish tendencies. We are looking at something from an objective point of view and saying, what is the best course of action that is beneficial to everyone involved? Hi, friends. Welcome back to Call Cut with Angelique. We are going to continue our conversation from last week about superior will, inferior will, and why we feel stuck in our lives or trapped in our lives and how we get out of it. So last week, to recap, we talked about inferior will versus superior will and how your superior will aligns with divine or God's will, and that your inferior will aligns with more demonic tendencies and tendencies of the material world. And we have to somehow have the superior will outshine the inferior will in order for us to align with our divine blueprint, which ultimately lifts us up to aligning with the life we were born to live. At the end of last week's episode, I said it was going to be one little thing that made a huge difference. And here it is: self-forgiveness. Many of us make mistakes. Actually, we all make mistakes, but we have a lot of shame and we have a lot of guilt surrounding that. And whenever we make mistakes, whenever we were in situations that were out of our control, but we somehow tell ourselves a story that if we didn't do this or we didn't do that, somehow that horrible thing that happened to us would have never happened, we get stuck. We get trapped. We get stuck in a negative feedback loop. And again, when we're stuck in a negative feedback loop, we're also stuck in our inferior will because we are not aligned with our divine consciousness. We have to find the forgiveness for ourselves. Compassion is actually the energy of the Godhead, right? If we think about source energy, it's deep, deep compassion and empathy. That is what ultimately connects us to the divine energy. When we can find love for ourselves and for others, despite the horrible things that have happened, the horrible things that we have witnessed, the horrible things that have done to us, and yet we still have the capacity to love. We still have the capacity to see another human being as our brother and sister and not as our enemy. Well, that is how you align with the divine. To take that one step further, we also have to understand that we are all just doing the best we can in the moment with the information that we have available. So anything that has happened to you in the past, anything that you may have done to hurt another or something that was done to you by another, know that in this very moment, we can rewrite that script. We can change that script and we can alter the way you feel about that. We can alter the way you move forward from that. We pause, we call cut, and we realign the energy. And that is how we reclaim our story. We look at each part of our life that was maybe not the best. We look at things we've done, things that have been done to us, and we go in and we forgive ourselves for all of it. We forgive ourselves for being witness, for being participant. We forgive ourselves for anything that we may have done that is not our highest and best self. We forgive ourselves for speaking out, for not speaking out. We forgive ourselves for anything and everything that causes shame and or guilt. Because you have to look at this thing of life as a game. If I were in a video game and I said to you, okay, here's the trick to this game. There's going to be violence. There's going to be abhorrent situations. There's going to be on every single level from the very, very minute to the absolutely huge. All you have to do is hold the light. All you have to do is stand in your power. Follow the teachings of the Christ, which is the Christ consciousness. Turn the other cheek. Don't engage. Don't give them what they want. Don't fall into that pattern. Just hold your light. Hold your love. Hold your peace. That's it. That's how you win the game. That's how you're going to elevate to the next level. You'd say to me, that's it? That's all I have to do? And I say, yeah, that's all you have to do. You put on your Xbox or your PlayStation or your Nintendo and you go beat that game because you would know, like, all I have to do is this, right? So no matter what they throw at me, no violence, defend yourself if you need to defend yourself. Do not commit acts of violence on somebody else. Do not murder somebody else or take their life or maim them. Defend yourself enough to get away. Those are your rules. You'd go and you'd nail that game. You would be like, oh my God, Angelique, that was great. I got to the other end. Yeah, it was scary. It was a little bit terrifying. All of these freaks were coming at me and I had to really figure out what I was going to do. But you would know that your power was going to lie in keeping yourself elevated and keeping yourself in this higher consciousness as you moved through this game. That's the game of life. As it is in your inferior will, you cannot beat this game. This game will beat you. If you stay in those lower vibrational energies, as I discussed last week, your vices, your passions, and your desires, then you will not elevate out of it. You will get sucked into the game and you will continuously have to fight your way out. And you could do this in theory if it were a game like that. But now you have to put on an avatar and you have to actually live this. You're not watching it on a screen. You're living it. You're physically living it, feeling every single thing. Pain, heartbreak, frustration, helplessness. You're feeling all of it. That is a lot harder. Except the rules of the game are exactly the same. The way out is through, but you have to use your superior will to navigate you through. In an avatar, this is really hard because it requires that you have to have compassion, empathy, and forgiveness for yourself at all times as you're moving through these scenarios that are coming at you that you have to feel. It's not just about witnessing it from this 35,000-foot view. No, you are experiencing it. This is where the game of life becomes super hard, but you need that free will to power you through anything. Anything that you're putting out in the world has to show some sort of will for it to be made manifest. You can look at it as an action as well, right? You're taking your action, you're putting your energy into something. And everything will eventually have to turn into something. So that intention behind it is going to turn into something regardless of where you are at. So you have to decide where you are going to align yourself, where you're going to put yourself. How is your will going to play out in every single scenario you come up against in the game of life? And this is where we have to question our actions all the time. We have to constantly stop ourselves. We have to reevaluate. We have to realign. Figure out, am I in my highest self right now, or am I acting out from my lower tendency? Am I doing unto others as I would want done unto me, or am I harming them, either consciously or unconsciously? These are all questions we have to ask ourselves. We have to look at ourselves from a very different lens. We are the observer and the observed. We have to make sure that every single thing that we are doing is in alignment so that we can connect with that Christos Sophia, that Christ energy, that consciousness, that beautiful Eden that we hear about in the Bible. Because it exists. It absolutely exists. And the earth is trying to elevate to that level. She's moving through these harmonic dimensions. And we're supposed to move with her. We have to do the work. Now, here's the beautiful thing about doing the work. Every time you forgive yourself, you forgive somebody else. Every time you put yourself in a situation where you're calling cut, you're reevaluating, and you're aligning with your superior will, you are actually helping humanity to elevate. You are helping humanity to move up, 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 because you are refusing to participate in the game. You're moving through it because you're given the secret to move through it. And the secret to move through it is turn the other cheek, do unto others as you would have done unto you, harm none. That's the secret. Everything else is fair game. But that's how you align with divine will. That is how you put yourself in a position to have superior energy always flowing your way. Because remember, folks, the more beautiful energy you put in the world, the more beautiful energy you attract to yourself. You become super, super powerful, super magnetic to that beautiful energy out there. So this is not for nothing. This is absolutely how you become super powerful in your own skin. You align with superior will. You forgive yourself. You show compassion and empathy toward your fellow man, no matter how bad it is. And let me tell you, it's bad. I will use myself as an example. I am ashamed to say I went down the rabbit hole of the Epstein files and I started looking at things and I was becoming ill to my stomach and I was crying and I was angry. And I stopped myself and I said, but isn't that the game, right? The more angry we get, the more violent we get, the more inferior will has its power. Now, if you were around last week, I talked about the precession of the equinox, right? And I talked about, moving through the yugas. Well, right now, there is a predominantly negative energy that has been in control of this planet for a long time, and it doesn't want to lose its power. And when we start awakening, we start moving through that part of the precession of the equinoxes where we're moving back toward the central sun. Those power dynamics don't want to lose it. They want to maintain control, and control is maintained through fear, through violence, through sadness, through depression, through lower vibrational energy, and it keeps you trapped in that place. What frees you is compassion, is love. It really frees you. And that's how you could look at these things. There are people who are going to do some devious things. There are people who are going to lie about you because perception is reality, and people truly believe the bullshit that they talk about. They really do. And there's nothing you can do about that. But if you get sucked in to that and you start reacting to it, dang it, you drop into your inferior will. Now all of a sudden you're engaged in theatrics with bullshit instead of realigning your energy and focusing on what is going to be really good for you, where you need to go. I asked my friend if I could tell this story. I won't name his name, but a dear friend of mine was married to a woman who they had a tumultuous relationship, and they had a property between the two of them. And this woman wanted the property in the divorce, and he didn't want to give it up. And this battle for this property, I mean, my God, on and on and on it went. It was a beautiful house, don't get me wrong. Absolutely beautiful. It was in Italy, unbelievable property, beautiful views. I get it. But I also don't. And at one point he came to me and he said, I can't get rid of this. This is just becoming a nightmare. We're going into 5 years of this. I don't know what to do. And finally I looked at him and I said, well, if you want to be given everything, give everything up. Just by fighting her constantly for this property, you are attached to her. And you are attached to her in the negative space. Of course you're not happy. Of course you can't move on with your life. Of course you can't find love with somebody else. You are still energetically enmeshed with this. And this is lower vibrational energy that is bringing you down. You are acting out of your worst self every minute of the day. Let her have it. And I thought he was going to stress. What do you mean, let her have it? I said, let her have the property. You can buy yourself something else. As a matter of fact, if you let go, you have no idea what could come in on the other side, but you're not allowing creation to work through you. You're stalling it. You're deciding that you're going to control how something works. And unfortunately, that's trapping you. When we try to clamp down on something, we have that equal and opposite force that comes up against us. Well, he thought about it for a while. And I would say it probably took him a good 8 months. But after 8 months, he called me up one day and said, I gave it to her. And I said, how did that work out for you? And he said, you know, I thought I was going to be resentful. I thought I was going to be angry, but I don't feel like that. I feel so unburdened right now. I just feel free. He's like, and I really didn't think this was how I was going to feel. Oftentimes we get trapped by a desire, right? We get trapped by something we're passionate about because we don't see the forest for the trees. We only see what we want. We only see one path to get to what we want. And we don't realize that we actually have to go around a different path to get to what we want. We have to do the work to align ourselves. And if we want to do beautiful work in this world, we have to clean out the vessel. We can't be, acting out our lower vibrational tendencies and out there in the world preaching love and kindness to everybody who speaks to us. Words or pathetic gestures will not be enough for long because eventually a product has to be produced. And if you are not in alignment with what you preach or what you do, that will again cause the conflict. Again, you will feel stuck. You will come up against walls. The forward motion will stop. You will not get to the place that you want to go. In order to have a true effect, an abundance of superior will is necessary. And this is going to take conscious effort to bring into your reality. Again, we are in the age of ignorance. We are coming out of the Kali Yuga. We are moving through the precession of the equinox toward the sun. We are having an awakening, which means that This is the moment in time that we attach to our Christos Sophia, our Christ consciousness, and believe it or not, friends, this all ties into your dream. You want your dream to become reality. You have to align with your highest self. You don't want your dream to become reality at the expense of your soul, at the expense of your happiness, at the expense of the well-being of your family. You want your dream to come true in its highest and best form. That's where you want your dream to come true. You don't want your dream to come true beholding to anybody, owing people millions and millions of dollars, being in debt, being owned, having to be somebody's puppet for the rest of your life. No, you want your dream attached to that higher vibrational energy, that superior will that will envelop you, that will take you in its arms and lift you to the highest potential that you could not even possibly imagine where you are right now. Aligning ourselves with the divine will gets us out of being stuck because we are seeking what is absolutely the best for everyone involved, not just our own selfish tendencies. We are looking at something from an objective point of view and saying, what is the best course of action that is beneficial to everyone involved? And now you start to move up a little bit. And you continue to do this continuously, over and over and over again. And sometimes the best course of action may be walking away from somebody, maybe ending a relationship, friendship, partnership, or business relationship. That might be the best thing. Because if everybody is not on the same page, you cannot move forward in peaceful coexistence. There's going to be conflict. And if there is conflict and the two wills are coming up against each other, the whole thing is going to fall apart. And it's going to fall apart again and again until we understand that we have to pick ourselves up and align with the parts of our soul that are true. How we do this, again, we identify these stories and these patterns and these loops, and we call cut and we rewrite them. Again, this is a tool that you can use, but it is no different than cognitive behavioral therapy. There are tons of people out there who teach the same exact thing. But you could put this in your toolbox and you can use this every single day to stop yourself. Stop yourself right in the moment. The moment you start telling yourself a story, stop yourself. I do want to actually speak about one more part of inferior will and how this can get to you. You can be on the path and you're going and everything's working out. And suddenly somebody says, oh, I don't like your invention. I don't like this. I don't think this is going to work. And now the inner monologue starts to attack you. The inner monologue starts to tell you, I'm not good enough. Yeah, see, we're not good enough. You suck. You're horrible. That's lowering into inferior will as well. You are allowing those negative energies to pull you down. Call cut. Realign yourself and reclaim your energy. This is work. I can honestly say I call cut on myself all the time. Right. I'm a work in progress just like everyone else. I am out here trying to find my way. And if you are out there trying to find your way and you will feel like you're in between the superior will and the inferior will and you are just trying to make it happen, I will meet you there because I get it. I am there myself. It is all a journey. It is a process. We are trying to find our way to something outside of ourselves, something bigger than ourselves. Something that we can leave behind that will actually make life better for our children, our grandchildren, and all the generations to come. And even though the world is looking really dark right now, you are still the light. You have the power. You are not powerless. You can turn the other cheek. You can walk on through the storm. You can continue to put love, compassion, peace, harmony, and beauty into the world while everything else around you is falling apart. You hold that light. You hold that power. That is your divine gift. Use it. Thank you so much for joining me on Call Cut with Angelique. New episodes drop every Friday. If you like this content, please subscribe, like, share with your friends. And remember, folks, no matter what life gives you, you must always keep shining.